Hello and a very warm welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program with me Kipchu. Our top stories this week. His Majesty offers prayers at the Punakha Zone during the Shabdung Kuche. Wage disputes in the private sector increasing. And after 9 years, the East-West highway widening works finally set to complete this year end. His Majesty the King offered prayers at the sacred Machel Haga of the Punakha Zone during the Shabdung Kuche last Sunday. His Majesty graced the prayer ceremony at Punakha Zone held to commemorate Shabdung Kuche today. On the auspicious occasion, His Majesty granted a royal charter for the establishment of Gerup Nyun, an autonomous entity to hold and manage the assets and investments of the Jungtasa. His Majesty also granted Tha to appoint Tongsa and Gasa Zonda. Wandi Gesi, who was serving as the director of Bhutan Food and Drug Authority, was appointed the Tongsa Zonda, and Jingmin Namge, who was serving as the director of the Department of Biomedical Engineering at JDWNRH, is the new Gasa Zonda. His Majesty granted red scarf to Tashidoji, the third chairperson of the National Council. This is Kipchu for BVS News. The country can expect to have a better future according to the Druk Holding and Investments or DHI. The company which manages the country's national wealth says this is possible thanks to its investment in emerging technologies including blockchain and digital asset mining projects. Blockchain is a digital ledger which records transactions in a secure and decentralized way. Digital assets are digital currencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum that uses blockchain technology to facilitate these transactions. According to a statement by the DHI, the company manages a number of investments that are spread across different locations around the world. They are also investing in new and modern technology like digital identity and blockchain. This is in line with their goal to create a sustainable and connected future for the country by investing and building a diversified investment portfolio that will help the country grow and be in a position to be a frontier in innovation and technology. It is also to stay relevant in the world, fueled by exponential growth of technology. According to Ujwal Deep Dahal, DHI's Chief Executive Officer, realizing the huge potential, Bhutan was able to make investments early on and current positions are good. One of the criticisms of digital asset mining is that it uses a lot of energy which contributes to climate change and carbon emissions. The DHI, however, clarifies that Bhutan is using 100% green energy to power the digital asset mining activities. Digital asset mining is the process for verifying transactions by solving math equations using specialized computers. And those who solve the equations are rewarded with certain amount of the asset. On the recent international article which has put DHI's investment in a negative light, the CEO says although there were some payment and timing issues in closing the deal, it has now been settled and has no net negative impact in the portfolio. He clarified that the investment portfolio is in the net positive at this point in time, considering the diversified portfolio DHI has created and risk management framework in place. And while there may be challenges and criticisms along the way, DHI says it is looking to the future with utmost confidence and is committed to investing today to deliver a better tomorrow for the people of Bhutan. For Ishigase, this is Kipchu for BVS News. Her Majesty the Queen of Denmark has bestowed the Order of Dannyborg to Pelden Doji, Honorary Consul General of Denmark to Bhutan. The Danish ambassador Freddy Savan presented the Order of Dannyborg to Pelden Doji last week in Thimphu. The Order of Dannyborg is bestowed on doing an extraordinary service in the interests of Denmark. It was conferred in 2021, but due to COVID restrictions, it was presented on the 29th of April. Her Royal Highness Aji Kezang Wamowanchu graced the event. The diplomatic relations between Bhutan and Denmark were established in 1985.
Very honored to receive the Order of Dannyborg. The Order of Dannyborg is given not for any specific deed or action on my part. It is more for meritorious service over a number of years in serving the interests of the Danish people and Denmark. So it is an award of having served as the Honorary Consul General for Denmark for a certain number of years.
Postpartum depression, PPD, is one of the forms of depressions experienced by mothers after delivery of a child that can trigger a variety of emotions from excitement and joy to fear and anxiety. While there are no official statistics, health officials say about 10 to 15% of the childbearing women in the country are likely to experience depression after childbirth. Most women who experience these symptoms tend to think that PPD is an abnormal disease, but health experts say it is like any other disease.
Postpartum depression is experienced by women during pregnancy or within 4 weeks after delivery. According to the psychiatrist at the National Referral Hospital, it is normal for women to experience mood swings, exhaustion, and reduction in sleep after giving birth.
On the other hand, if these symptoms are interfering with their day-to-day functioning, as well as if there are persistent mood symptoms, if they are not enjoying what they used to enjoy before, or if they are not able to establish the bonding between mother and child, then these are some of the symptoms to suggest postpartum depression.
Women who are not aware of PPD and its symptoms find it difficult to cope with it.
There is a complete difference between being a mother and a teenager. It changes everything. I could not go, eat, or sleep as I wished to. I cried and sometimes laughed. For once, I thought it was only me who was going through this. I asked the mothers of my age, and only then did I know it was a normal phase going through all mothers. Now I'm able to adapt to it.
For me, I would cry at the drop of a hat. I'd be happy and I'll start crying, right? I'm eating and I'll start crying. I'm breastfeeding and I'll start, of course, breastfeeding is another ballgame entirely, but anything would just tip me off the edge and then I would start crying, right? And I was thinking, oh my God, let me see how long this crying episode lasts. Is it going to last longer than 2 weeks? But thankfully, after 2 weeks, it started to ease, right?
Although it occurs more commonly in women, men are also affected by the changing lifestyle in a family.
This stress is experienced mostly by mothers, but men also get affected by it. Before a child, the couple always spends time together, but after delivery, the mother needs to shift her attention and priority to the child. So men tend to feel ignored and it gets a little hard to adapt to this situation.
Through her experience as a mother and an advocate, Namgezam created a social media platform to teach about motherhood and the changes that are associated with it.
This Instagram account called Bhutanese Mama, which is really a mental health advocacy for women and for mothers, for parents, not just for mothers, right? I was thinking, oh, what if there's a place where first-time mothers can go and they can feel comforted knowing that somebody else has experienced this. And this is why I created, and I also talk about postpartum depression there.
Medical experts say women who are suffering from PPD should comply with medical advice.
Although rare, suicide can happen as a result of postpartum depression, and very rarely when depression is very severe and when it is associated with some psychotic symptoms, then there are chances that mother could actually harm babies as well.
Health officials says women need to seek psychological support both during pregnancy and after delivery. It is also advised to maintain a good physical health and avail themselves of screening services for PPD. Namgedem, BBS News.
The number of wage dispute cases reported to the Department of Labor has been increasing over the years. This year alone saw almost 300 cases reported as compared to 330 cases in the whole of last year. The majority of wage dispute cases have been reported from the construction sector.
Over 1,000 wage dispute cases have been reported from 2019 until April of this year. More than 600 cases have been solved through mediation, while the Labour Department forwarded 380 cases to the court. The Department of Labour says most of the cases are from the construction sites. In cases where there are no agreements between employers and employees, the department hands such cases over to the Construction Development Board.
Sometimes, when we have a written agreement, or even if we do not have an agreement, some of them do not pay us on time. We face some problems, so we have to go to the court. Some courts do not accept our case, but some do. And they come to our side and accept that we have been working hard.
Sometimes the contractor does not give us money and some do not give the pay on time. We had to face many problems. In the past, when we used to chat on WhatsApp, friends used to complain a lot about not getting paid or not getting paid on time.
Any complaint filed to the Department of Labour is expected to be solved within 14 working days. However, wage disputes in the construction sector get extended to months when the parties involved do not respond to the department.
The dispute comes only after completing the work, and by that time the fixed location of that defendant is not there. So, and it's very difficult for us to catch hold of that. And then the other is, the only means for us to contact them is through the calls, and most of the thing, the calls numbers are being switched off, or they have changed their mobile numbers.
The Department of Labour settles the dispute by making an employer pay the wage in installments if the employers are short of money. If the department finds that the employers are still not paying the employee, then the cases are forwarded to the court. For Singidima, Tsungdiki for BBS News.
With the reorganization of 10 ministries to 9, Karma Donanwandi, the former minister for erstwhile Information and Communications Ministry, voluntarily resigned from his cabinet position on the 29th of April. This is according to the Prime Minister's office. The Ilhengi Act states that a minister may resign after submitting an application of resignation to the Prime Minister at least 30 days in advance and subject to acceptance by the Dugelpo. The opposition in March this year demanded the government to reduce the number of ministers to 9 in keeping with the Civil Service Reform Act and the Constitution. Traders and drivers at the mini dry port in Phinsuling are questioning the time taken at the port to get goods cleared through customs. They say they have to wait a minimum of 5 hours, and that the introduction of the new system, the electronic customs management system, has made it worse. However, custom officials deny their claims.
It is 8 p.m. and the dry port in Phinsuling is as busy as it can get. Over 100 vehicles and drivers are waiting to get their consignments cleared through customs formalities. According to the drivers, the customs and agent officials often say that there is a system breakdown. Moreover, the drivers allege that they have to stay the night at the port due to issues from the customs side, and yet they end up paying 2,000 Newton per night as demurrage charges.
We can clearly see how all the drivers are waiting here. They say they have a new system which we do not understand at all. It takes us 3 to 4 days to import one consignment with various issues like registration, Indian customs and Bhutan customs.
Indian custom module, Tubigi custom module. By the time we get here, it is already 1 p.m. Then the whole afternoon we have to wait here. When we reach our places, all our vegetables get spoiled. Sometimes we have to halt our night here because after a certain time, the officials leave and we have no option but to pay the 2,000 Newton for the night in the port and wait.
We are all drivers here and our livelihoods depend on this, but we are stopped here for hours. See now, it is already 8 p.m. Soon the officials will leave and we'll have to halt our night here.
However, customs, clearing and forwarding agents say there are no issues with the new system. The new eCMS is currently being piloted for imports. Officials say even if the new system has glitches, they use the old system as a backup. Officials blame drivers arriving late at the port and not registering into the new system for the long queue and waiting hours.
There are certain things the traders should do, like registering themselves on ECMS. They can directly go to RAMIS, and after registering in their taxpayer number, it will automatically hit ECMS. If this is done, we will not have any issues with the system. They get stuck here because they have not registered with the new system.
The eCMS will be officially rolled out in June. Officials added that they do not levy the demurrage charges if drivers have to halt a night in the port due to system issues. However, drivers say they have been paying the charges even when the delays are due to system failure.
First, we have to do a registration without which we cannot go to India to load the goods. We have to make sure we complete the loading by 10 a.m. as it takes longer to complete Indian customs. Sometimes it gets late and we cannot enter Bhutan after 8 p.m. and staying out is very risky for us. People come to steal our goods, fuel, and our lives are also at risk.
Meanwhile, it is past 9 p.m. and officials and drivers are busy completing formalities. This is while many drivers are still waiting outside to complete their formalities to avoid paying the demurrage charges. For Kilidim in Phuntsholing, Sherab Doji, PBS News.
Bhutanese taxi drivers in Samtsi are not happy with the neighboring Indian taxis doing local trips within Samtsi town. According to a meeting held between the erstwhile RSTA office and taxi drivers of the two sides in 2019, a mutual agreement was met wherein Indian taxis can only bring and drop off passengers at the taxi stand in Samtsi town. However, the Bhutanese cab drivers say today no one is following the agreement and it is severely affecting their business. Local taxi drivers in Samtsi say Indian taxis entering the town and doing local businesses has picked up, especially after the reopening of the border gates. Today, Indian cab drivers offer services at a very low cost. This has led to local taxi drivers complaining about losing most of their passengers to their Indian counterparts.
As per the agreement, they are allowed to bring passengers from the border gate to Samtsi taxi parking. However, not many are following the agreement. We have seen them doing local businesses in almost all the town areas like in Damdum, Alibaka, Sukriti and Gurungbasti.
We are not saying that the Indian taxis should not be allowed to enter Samtsi. We are neighbors and we should always maintain a good relationship among ourselves. But today they are doing taxi businesses all over the town and it is affecting us a lot.
The limited passengers we have in Samtsi are also taken by the Indian cab drivers these days. Therefore, taxi business is not good today. Most of the time, we end up returning home with minimal income. So, if some changes can be brought with regards to this matter, it would benefit the local taxi drivers.
Unhappy over the matter, local taxi drivers, with the help of the Taxi Association of Samtsi, have written to the Transport Authority numerous times.
I have talked with the RSTA officials here regarding the matter. However, they say they cannot stop the Indian taxis from entering the country, as it is in keeping with the Bhutan-India friendship. We are also not saying that we should not allow them to enter Samtsi. We equally respect the good relationship the two countries share. All we are asking is for a designated place for Indian cabs to do business.
The Taxi Association again plans to write to the Bhutan Construction and Transport Authority and the Samtsi District Administration very soon. Relevant officials were not available for comments. Today, all Bhutanese taxi drivers in Samtsi charges about 100 ngtam as a local fare. However, Indian taxi charge only about 20 ngtams for the same trip. As of today, Samtsi has about 200 taxis. For Pasang Doji in Samtsi, This is Kipchu for BVS News. After 9 years, the East-West Primary National Highway will finally be fully widened and blacktopped come December of this year. This is according to the Department of Surface Transport's Lingmithang Regional Office in Mongar. Works to blacktop the remaining 90-kilometer stretch between Ura in Pumthang and Yongkala in Mongar is currently underway. Blacktopping works in Pumthang are nearing completion, while most areas under Mongar are being prepared for blacktopping.
Towards Mongar, works are spread across 63-kilometer stretch between Serpong to Yongkala. According to the chief engineer of the department's regional office in Lingmithang, half of the work has been completed. Out of the 5 packages, the Trumshingla to Shengor stretch has been fully blacktopped. Works on the other 2 packages are also scheduled to complete by the end of this month. Meanwhile, around 40% of the works in the remaining 2 packages between Sengor to Latongla and Namling to Yongkala are complete.
Another 2 packages which was awarded later, I think probably these are also within the time frame only, because we have been monitoring the progress on a monthly basis, and so we have noticed that those contract works are within the schedule only.
He added that since the highway runs through high altitude passes, snow and cold weather might affect the work progress. However, the office is expecting works to complete within the time frame. Contractors are also speeding up works to meet the deadline.
We have been awarded with 2 packages, package 5 and 3. Package 5 we are completing. So regarding package 3, we have got lots of time, around 8 months. So we will be completing before the deadline, that is approximately before 3 to 4 months of completion deadline.
The widening and blacktopping of the East-West Highway, which started in 2014, was initially expected to complete in 2017. However, continuous flow of traffic and the occurrence of roadblocks along the highway have hindered the work progress, according to officials. Missing several deadlines, the completion of the East-West Highway widening project had always been a recurring question raised during most of the parliament sessions since the project started. For Karmawandi, Devika Pradhan for BBS News.
The day has finally dawned for 42-year-old Purki Rai and her 3 special needs sons. They now have a place to call home. The Opening Your Heart to Bhutan, a UK-based charity, has made this dream come true for the family. Up until today, the single mother, who is the sole bread earner in the family, has been living in a semi-permanent structure with her 3 sons, who all suffer from cerebral palsy.
This is Purki Rai and her son's new home at Gayutha in Dikilingyok. The single-storied concrete structure with 4 rooms was built at a cost of around 850,000 Newton. So far, Purki has been providing for her family by working on others' farms and construction sites. Her sons, all in 20s, are recipients of His Majesty's Kitu program, which has significantly supported them in sustaining themselves. Purki bought the plot from her little savings and donations from her well-wishers. Getting a home has been life-changing for the family.
I'd like to thank our supporters for their immense help. Our lives have become a lot comfortable now. Otherwise, we had to live in some other people's home. However, they have been very nice to us, allowing us to occupy their house without rent. In the meantime, I've managed to buy a 10 decimal land. Now that we have a new home, everything is going well, and my children are also very happy.
Ugin Sering, who is the country representative of Opening Your Heart to Bhutan, handed over the home to the family last week. He said after coming across the family, the charity organization immediately discussed about building a shelter for Purki and her sons. The charity also provided them with household necessities.
If there is no proper house for them, then their situation will be difficult. That's why we immediately identified the 10 decimal land under the Kilingyo. Now they have a proper house to stay.
The organization also sent the 3 brothers to the Dragso Vocational Training Center for Special Children and Youth in Tashkent to learn vocational skills last year. However, they had to discontinue going to the institute due to their learning difficulties.
We kept them at the institute the whole year in 2022, but because of their limited fine motor skills, they couldn't continue at the institute. So raiding a home for them upon their return from the institute then became our priority.
The charity will now give the family 1 or 2 Jersey cows to sustain their livelihoods. The family can now look forward to even brighter days. Their story of doom and gloom is behind them now, as they rejoice the love and support of the Good Samaritans. Bukamawandi in Sarpang, Sring Diki for BBS News.
That's it for this week. Do join us as we bring you the next edition of the program next week. Thank you and goodbye.